Hi everybody. In our previous videos, we discussed the accounting for bonds issued at par, at a discount, and at a premium. But you were given either the bond's issue price outright, or given an easy way to calculate the issue price without referring to present value tables. Frequently, however, you are not provided such information about the issue price, and you will need to use the present value tables to calculate the amount at which the bond should be issued. But before we go on to a new worksheet, I want to show you one more thing about the bond amortization table we completed in our last video. And you should pay particular attention to this calculation, because you will see something similar on the exam. Let's say you are given a bond amortization table, and you are asked to calculate the annual contract rate of interest on the bond. How would you do that? Let's pretend that you don't know that this was a 10% bond. Using the information on the table, calculate the bond's annual contract interest rate. Give it a good try. Then start the video again to check your work. The answer to that is 10%, and let me show you how that works. One thing we know is that the carrying value or amortized cost or outstanding balance of the bond after the last interest payment will equal the par value or face value of the bond. And that's true in every properly prepared amortization schedule. Here is the one when the bond was issued at a premium. Here is the amortization schedule when the bond was issued at a discount. You always end up after the last interest payment with the face value or par value of the bond. We also know that the interest payment, the cash paid for interest, is calculated at the par value of the bond times the semi-annual interest rate. So to do this calculation, all you need to do is take one interest payment and divide by the par value of the bond. 12,500 divided by 250,000 equals 5%. That is the semi-annual bond interest rate, because these are semi-annual payments. So to get the annual contract rate, you need to take 5% times 2. 5% times 2 equals a 10% annual contract interest rate on this bond. Now let's continue working with the same worksheet that you have been using in the first 3 study guide lectures, and we're going to practice calculating the issue price of the bond using present value tables. On January 1st, X1, Sand Corporation issued 10% bonds with a face value of $500,000 dated January 1st. The bonds mature in 20 years. The market yield for bonds of similar risk and maturity is 12%. Interest is paid semi-annually. So we have a 20-year bond with 40 semi-annual payments of interest. The annual contract interest rate is 10%, so the semi-annual contract interest rate is 5%. The annual market interest rate is 12%, so the semi-annual market interest rate is 6%. Here is a reminder that there are 4 steps to calculate the issue price of a bond. First, calculate the bond's semi-annual interest payment. That is the face or par value of the bond times 1/2 the contract interest rate. Second, calculate the present value of the semi-annual interest payments using the present value of an annuity table where N equals double the years in the bond, in this case it'll be 40, and I equals half of the bond's market interest rate. 3. Calculate the present value of the face amount or par value of the bond using present value tables where N equals double the years in the bond, so 40 in this case, and I equals 1/2 of the annual bond's market interest rate, 6% in this case. Add the two present values together to calculate the bond's issue price. Let me give you a rule of thumb. When you are looking at the present value tables, when calculating the issue price of a bond, always, always, always use the market rate of interest. When calculating the issue price of a bond, you only use the contract rate of interest when you are calculating the semi-annual interest payment. You're not looking at a present value in the table in this calculation. In steps 2 and 3, you are looking at present value tables, so use the market interest rate. So using these 4 steps, go ahead and determine or calculate the issue price of the Sand Corporation bond at January 1st, 20X1. When you finish your calculation, start the video again to check your work. So the issue price of this bond is $424,768. And that makes sense because the bond has been issued at a discount because our interest rate is less than the market interest rate. We would expect it to be issued at a discount. And the calculation is step 1, bond interest payment, $500,000 times half the contract interest rate of 5%. Each payment for 40 payments is $25,000. The present value of an ordinary annuity of 40 interest payments, where I equals 6, 1/2 of the market interest rate, N equals 40, $25,000 times 15.04630 equals $376,158, and that factor came from the present value tables. Present value of an ordinary annuity, where I equals 6% and N equals 40, is 15.04630. Step 3. Find the present value of the par or face value of the bonds, where N equals 40 and I equals 6. That's $500,000 times the present value factor of 0.9722 equals 48,610. Add those two present values together to calculate the issue price of $424,768. Let's look at the present value table to find that factor. Present value, where I equals 6% and N equals 40, is 0.09722. Same as above, except the market rate is only 9%. Everything else is the same. Determine the issue price of the bonds at January 1st, X1. And remember that the contract interest rate in this example is greater than the market interest rate. So our bonds are very attractive, and we can issue those bonds at a premium. In this example, then, the issue price is a premium $546,005, calculated as follows. Bond interest payment is the same. The present value of 40 interest payments where n equals 40 and I equals 1/2 of the market rate of interest, 4.5%, would be $25,000 times 18.40158, and that equals $460,040. And the present value of the par or face value of the bond, where n equals 40 and I equals 4.5, is $500,000 times 0.17193, and that equals $85,965. Add the two present values together to calculate the interest issue price of $546,500. Let's find these two factors on the present value tables. Present value of an ordinary annuity, where I equals 4.5% and n equals 40, is 18.40158. And the present value table, where I equals 4.5% and n equals 40, is 0.17193. Well, that's all for this video. In our next video, we will calculate interest payments where the year end is different from the interest payment date. That's going to be important because you will see that on the exam as well. See you next time.